So with that introduction, we would just like to recognize we've got three fantastic people that are joining us from diverse parts of the world. They are all advocates that come from the community of people who use drugs. So the first person is Edo Augustian, and he's from the Indonesian Network of People Who Use Drugs, and he has received many honors, including a Red Ribbon Award for Advocacy and Human Rights, as well as Rolling Stone Awards at the Harm Reduction Conference. So please come over and give us an overview of the advocacy roadmap and environmental scan of the laws that you did in Indonesia. Can we welcome him with a round of applause? Do you have a presentation?
Oh, this one, okay. Thank you, everybody. Yeah, my presentation today is about building an advocacy roadmap and using the legal environment scan, the toolkit that provided by International Network of People Who Use Drugs. As a community of people who use drugs, majority of our problem, usually when we want to do some advocacy, for example, for legal advocacy and the policy, and also the environment that support for people who use drugs, mostly of us in our region and also in Indonesia, at the beginning we don't really knows what we have to do, what we have to prepare, what kind of step, what kind of strategy, and who is the target and everything. Because most of us doesn't really know how to do proper or the best way to advocate the issues that we are facing in the country. So with the toolkit from the International Network of People Who Use Drugs, the legal environment scan, we feel that this toolkit really help us in developing recommendation for law and policy reform to remove barriers to access the essential HIV services for people who use drugs, as well as to the harm reduction and related health services. So the toolkit, the legal environment scan, focus in three areas, which is the first is the comprehensive harm reduction, and the second is societal enablers, and the third is the community-led responses. This is I took it from the toolkit. This is about all the steps that we plan for and strategize for our strategy. First step is about the planning and preparation, about the desk review, and the collection of the secondary data, and about reporting, and then how to maintain and sustaining the process. So we realized this legal environment scan, it's an opportunity for us to identify and examine key legal, policy, and human rights issues which is affecting people who use drugs in the context of HIV, broader health, and social justice. And also, this as an opportunity to us to identify international human rights obligations by which countries are bound to hold governments accountable for upholding those obligations, and then to raise awareness of and generate national dialogue on the priority legal and human rights issue affecting people who use drugs. And the last is determine the extent to which the current legal framework protects rights or acts as a barrier to access to to social legal health services by people who use drugs. So we use the legal environment scan to make recommendation for reforming laws in the process of to reforming the laws and the policies and addressing the practices that prevent people who use drugs from accessing health and social services. This is including harm reduction services and also informed advocacy for reforming laws and policies and addressing practices that prevent people who use drugs from accessing HIV-related health services, including harm reduction services. So this is how we use the finding in the legal environment scan, using that in the advocacy effort in Indonesia. So what have been the barriers and challenges in using the advocacy roadmap and legal environment scans? As we know, the advocacy roadmap, the sequences of action and activities that will move things from where you are now, current situation, to where you want to be, and the change you want to see. So what was difficult in the process is sometimes it's very difficult to changing policymakers' perspective. For example, in Indonesia, everything, every policy, every law, they always relate that to the moral obligation, moral values, and also about religious value. So it is difficult for us to convince them about scientific or based on scientific or evidence based, and then increase the quality of harm reduction services. So in the last few years, harm reduction in Indonesia only focus the indicators of the services only about needles, and they forgot about the other components of harm reduction. So this is a little bit an example from us when PKNI, my organization, become a national sub-recipient for Global Fund. Only us who put all the 9 indicators of harm reduction as the achievement indicators and in the process. And unfortunately, they're not continue it until now. So basically, I don't know about what happened in your country, but in Indonesia, the indicators, it's only about numbers. It's not about quality. And other barriers is to monitor the criminal justice system implementation for people who use drugs. So the key points, one of the priorities and key point is as a network, as a people who use drugs, what we can do is to unite and then to make change together. Thank you.